I think it kind of parallels to the conversation of like all answered prayers. If you watch how Jesus operated, it wasn't a future response. It was a right then response, right? Because of your faith, you're healed. Because your friends had faith, I'm gonna do this now. And one of the things that God has really been cementing in my life this year, and it's been a constant conversation actually between me and my husband, is when I am walking through something, not in an air of like sharing dirty laundry, but in an air of being vulnerable and transparent, especially because our lives can project something from a social media lens that isn't necessarily what's happening. I've been really passionate about walking and being vulnerable with people about what is happening right now in my business, in my personal life, in my familial life, so that God truly does get the glory at that sense versus I'm going to wait, just like we're talking about like the not being in the present moment. Like I could wait to see, how is the cookie going to crumble? How is this plan going to come to fruition? When God gets the glory, then I'll talk about him. But what if we were more passionate about doing it literally right now, to be open-handed, to be like, you know what? I still have hope, though this is what my circumstances look like. I still have joy, though this is what the circumstances look like, because now I'm relying on the word and the truth that he speaks over the situation, rather than me trying to formulate the answer. But the one thing that I found of all the things, that when I become vulnerable, not only do prayer warriors show up, not only do encouragers show up, not only do resources show up, because instead of me sitting behind the scared blanket and like, no one can help me, I'm all by myself. That's what happened yesterday on the conversation with Chris. I was just like, let me just be vulnerable. I'll just tell you where we're at. This is what's going on. And it sounded as if I was speaking death over the situation. I was in a wrong state of mind for sure in the language in which I was using, but it allowed him to say, whoa, 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 let me go deeper into that little open wound that you have, and let me allow it to start healing. I'm going to uproot a little lie that you might be believing about that, so that you can heal faster. My son scraped his foot in the bay this summer, and he got an oyster shells like put inside of this big cut as he sliced his foot. And we went to the hospital. He had 9 different doctors come in the emergency room to try and get these oyster shells out of this deep wound. It wasn't something that needed to be sewn together. And even if it was, because there was still oyster shells in it, they couldn't do that. And so even the x-ray was like, it's just a little too deep right now. We're going to bandage it up. The last person that came in, the 9th doctor of the night, they were there all night long, said, sometimes you just got to let God do the healing. In a secular space, obviously there's no Christian hospitals. That's an idea, by the way, planting that out into the world. Can we have a space that we just come and pray over people? That'd be amazing. But it was like such a divine moment for my child to have a learning lesson, and my husband, who was already speaking that over him, to not be the only voice in my son's ear about the power of God and his ability to heal. And so had they just been like, my husband's general response is like, tough it out, you'll be fine, you'll get extracted. But he really wanted a doctor to see it. So for that doctor to confirm the exact same thing that his data said is no different than when Chris is encouraging me with the exact same thing that Christ had been encouraging me with. It was just another layer and another level of being like, okay, I am seen. Okay, God, you are confirming what it is that I'm hearing and what it is that you're revealing. And so not to air your dirty laundry, but to share your grief in the moment. I remember sharing my disappointment, Natalie, with all of those women at that retreat. And it was harder for me to share my disappointment than it was for me to wear a mask and act like everything was okay. And I think oftentimes we do that out of a desire to make an appearance so that all the other things can work out. But that is actually harder to carry than it is to just let it go. So I hope that speaks into people as you guys are thinking about your present now. When people share pain, the opportunity for you to be the encourager, the opportunity for you to be the intercessor, the opportunity for you to help heal the wound that Christ is already healing, but your words, because you're aligned to Christ, are actually also healing. Alexis, I love when you chat, girl. You've been just vocalizing over there.
It's the Lord's doing, I tell you.
Let's go.
So it's so funny because, as always, right, we know that we are aligned and Holy Spirit speaks to all of us in our different spaces. And I appreciate you just sharing the piece that you did because just as of last night, I've been kind of feeling this urge to just kind of take a pause on social media and just like understanding my distractions and where God is. And I know last week we talked about like me being somewhere in the middle and all of the things, right? And it was so interesting because generally, whenever I do like a social media pause, if you will, I'll just kind of like leave and, not really wanting to make an announcement because I'm not a person that likes to draw like attention and all the things. So I'll just leave. But for whatever reason, this time, I was led to actually share like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And so the Lord gave me some words and not just words, but he gave me the space and opportunity to share share the season where I am now. And I was really going back and forth because I'm like, okay, how much do I share? Like, do I talk about that I do feel that I'm in a season of, distraction and I'm in the season of like I need him to really show up and tell me where I'm going, right? I don't know all of the things. Or do I just say, hey, y'all, like, I'll be back kind of thing? And of course, in the Lord's fashion, he told me to share. And what I shared was, just God is dealing with me in the sense of I know that he's speaking, I know that I'm growing, I know that I'm walking in the directions that he's calling me to. However, there is still room for growth. I know there's still things that he's pulling he's dealing with me on. And I just told the people, and I'm like, and I'm tired. Like, I'm going through transition after transition after transition, and I'm tired. Like, and I'm very much so I'm the encourager of the people, like my community. I'm always going to offer some word of encouragement. And even as I was making the post yesterday, I was trying to find a way to like spin it around to encourage somebody. And literally, as I was writing it out, I heard Holy Spirit say, this is the encouragement. Your transparency, your story, you sharing where you are, where I have you right now, right, is still igniting the hope in someone that is trying to figure out their walk with me, and it still gives me the glory, right? So I totally get exactly what you just said, and he's actually pushing me to be more vulnerable, more authentic, more transparent, because it's in those moments that he really gets the glory, right? When it's not the peak of the mountain always, but it's really, and maybe it's not even the lowest of the valley either, right? But it's really somewhere going up this mountain that he's like, yep, and I still get the glory in the middle too. And so I shared it, and I just kind of like released and let it go. I went back to close everything out, and someone messaged me and she said, and this is what will free people right here. And it literally was just like God's, again, confirmation to say, yeah, because anxiety was trying to creep up, like, oh, you shared too much, or you didn't, like people are going to be worried and concerned. And it's like, no, actually, this is what's drawing people back to God. Like the fact that you used your platform to share not just the high stuff, but the real stuff. This is where deliverance happens for other people in their own time, right? This is where they are drawn back to me. And so for the fact that you just share it, like he's amazing on how he aligns us all and orders our steps and allows us to see that we're not the only ones going through whatever the seasons are. But I just feel that he is calling us to be in that more authentic and vulnerable space, because everybody is hurting. And the only way that we're going to heal is if we begin to deal with those wounds together. And I believe that what my medicine may help the next person. So I'm just really grateful again to be in this space, and him confirming and even like me fighting the negative thoughts or the anxious thoughts about, did I share too much? How much? He's like, no, this is how you use the influence that I've given you. This is how you show up, because again, it's not about you. it's about me. And as long as you say that you are walking and you are living in the way that I've designed for you to, this is going to give me the glory every time. So keep going. So yeah. So thank you for sharing.